It is October 26th, 11:20 a.m. Craig, Jason, and I are in Stygdagma Square, which means Constitution in Greek. This is the Parliament building, which was King Otto's residency in the 1800s, and then 1935 became where their parliament is, with 300 members of parliament. This is their tomb of unknown soldier, and there are two guards over here. It's kind of hard to see with all the people, but we will see a guy in the far distance. And right there, that's what they look like. They have pom-poms on their shoes, but they don't have the skirts.
Why don't you steal
Here we go.
this conversation?
We got Dumb and Dumber here, sitting in front of the Kapnikara Church, which was built in the 11th to 12th century, which is under the Byzantine Empire. And this is parts of tombstones were used to build this church, other churches. So there's a little dome there. It's kind of a cool little church. And we're on the western end of Ermuz Street. This is the Church of Agios Eleftheros, hodgepodge of a mixture of church, BC and AD ornaments. For instance, this came from the ancient Greek agora, that little stone. There's also some tombstones in this. So it's kind of, they took old churches to make this one. This was the head of the church after the Ottomans took over, because they kicked the Greeks out of the Pantheon. This is the temple of the Olympian Zeus, which was started about 700 years before it was finished in the 6th century BC by this dude Pisistratos. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing all the names. In any case, he started it, couldn't get the job done, and then 131 AD, this Roman Emperor Hadrian. So Hadrian conquered Greece. So he's a Roman dude. They took over Greece. He comes here, he finishes it. And it was 360 feet by 145 feet. These columns are 56 feet high. There are two columns on the long ways, 2 rows of 20 columns long ways, and 3 rows of 8 columns at the ends. And then there's Greece, and there's the Acropolis, which means high hill, and then the Pantheon on top. And our hotel is about 45 minutes that way. And this is the area. It's mostly overcast day, but very comfortable temperature-wise. Here, October 26th, year of the Lord, 2014. So the Temple of Zeus. You can zoom in here, kind of see the top, the Corinths, as they like to say. 56 feet high. These things are pretty massive. And they're, I wouldn't say little, but there's sections. And we'll see it over here. This one fell down in 1852 from a storm, but you can see the sections and how they're just layered on top of each other to create this massive structure. This is Monastiraki Square. This is at the center of the old town, and there's some street performers doing their little choreographed dance. We're on an old mosque. We're standing on the balcony of an old mosque. Flea market down that street. There's an old Church of the Virgin right there. And you can see this was, when we came by here about 10 in the morning, there was no one here. And I'm going to pan horizontally. There's Jay Moore, CP. And the Acropolis is just beyond them, up to the left a little bit. Theater of Dionysus.
I got one.
This Socules, during the Golden Age, had theater productions here. This is on the west side of the Acropolis, which is up there. Theater of Herodes Atticus, built in 161 AD. This was a musical theater. The Theater of Dionysus, which we saw earlier, was a production theatrical theater. And this is looking kind of south here, a little west. We're coming up here. You actually see the big port right there in the distance, and there's the GNC in the background. Rebuilt in the 50s. And apparently they still have productions here. And then we kind of scroll south, and voila, there's Acropolis. On top of the Acropolis, very windy. That's the Olympian Zeus. That was a monument to. That was a monument to the Zeus. There's a Olympic Stadium right there. Kind of looking west here. Pan around. See the ocean in the background. There's a Pantheon right there. The largest damage was done in the 1680s. An Italian or Venetian cannonballed it. The Turks were storing gunpowder in there and blew the roof off. This is Acropolis, top of it. You know, not a whole lot up here, quite frankly. And that's on top of the Acropolis. That's the Theater of Dionysus, Acropolis Museum. Jason Moore doesn't want to believe. Zeus Olympia Stadium. There's Athens Sprawl. And this is the restoration of the Parthenon, that I like to call the Pantheon because I mispronounce everything because I don't read words. There's the Parthenon. This is the Erchion, E-R-C-H-T-H-E-N-O-N. That's looking south. There's the Greek flag. It's windy, overcast, probably in the 50s today. But when the sun comes out, very nice. And when the wind doesn't blow, very nice. That's the ancient Agora. We're looking kind of a northeast there. You can see that. We're going there next. That's Marketplace, basically, is what that meant. We pan kind of toward the south. Here's the Acropolis, big hill. This is there. There's the temple right there. Column on the left. That's the Acropolis. Parthenon is actually, you can see the top of it. Oh, that's not it. It's back here on the other side. Church of the Apostles. It's Jesus up there. Original. Built in 1000 AD. It's an Eastern Orthodox church now. Temple of Hephaestus, built in 449 BC, then which was Athens at the time was being rebuilt because it was razed in 480 BC by the Persians. Kind of what you're seeing happening today in Syria. This is one of the better preserved temples we've seen. Not a lot in it, unfortunately. This does take away from the ability to truly experience
How cold
the
it is.
temples. Yes, it is a little chilly. It's not too bad. Pretty impressive, though. That is what she said as well. We're in the ancient Agora here. This is where you would have seen Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, Paul, all these people rubbing shoulders at different times, though. Of course, they weren't all there at the same time. Maybe even the predecessors to Jason and Craig.
I think so.
Any case, voila. This is the ancient Agora. This would have been the center of Athens back at the height of 449 BC, roughly, and even after that. But it was destroyed a lot. And then you go, there's the Acropolis up there. See the Greek flag on the left. There's the Acropolis. Dionysus there. Temple of Athena Nike there. And then there's Mars Hill right there. Now this is allegedly where Paul preached to the Athenians. It's also where a lot of allegedly government business was carried out. Very slippery hill though, and very windy. It's not an ideal place to meet with a large group. All right, this is Mycenae. It is October 28th, 2:20 p.m. local time. Mycenae was the big deal back in the 14th and 13th century BC. And as the story goes,
Wrong.
I gotta re-fucking do this now, you piece of shit. I'm gonna shove this camera up your ass.
It probably was.
This is Mycenae. It's October 28th, 2:20 in the afternoon. Mycenae was the big place back in the 1300s and 1400s BC. You might have heard the story of Troy and Agamemnon, whose wife Helen, or not Helen, who was stolen from Troy.
Helen was stolen.
Helena was stolen by Paris. Agamemnon sacrificed his youngest daughter to get the favor of the winds, went there, laid siege, Trojan horse, they conquer, they come back, but then they come back and they're not here very long and then they disappear. This is Cyclopean Wall we're looking at up close here. This is the Lion Gate. You can always walk closer. Lion Gate, 1300 BC, guards the entrance to the Mycenae fortress.
Get up there.
And you can see the two big lions up there. Look at that. This is BA. So we're on the top of Mycenae, and you look down here. This is looking south, and this is Argo, or the Argonauts who sailed with Jason to find the Golden Fleece. That's their big fortress right up there. Kind of hard to see. There's the water right there beyond. So if any invaders were coming from the south, you could see them coming. And over here, this little ridge line, look at that. You see that? It looks like a big nose. It's almost like those statues you see on Easter Island. That is sleeping Agamemnon. Nice fertile valley here, looking to the west. Pan over here to the north. This fortress held up to 60,000 people inside and the surrounding areas. They lived in these little square homes on the hillside terraces.
So I can use it for my class.
This is the Lion's Gate. The heads are missing. There's some question whether they had gold, because you can see the rust-stained holes there. And then this lintel, this big stone right here, thing weighs about 18,000 tons, but there's another one in the North Gate that weighs 120,000 tons. This is the Treasury of Atrus, A-T-R-U-S. Now this is the 13th century BC. This is a tomb. It's a beehive tomb. There's Jason in the corner. The interesting thing, this lintel, this big piece of rock here, I made a mistake earlier in the North Gate. This one is the big one. This one allegedly weighs 120 tons. The biggest rocks in the pyramids are 30 tons, so quadruple that. Kind of like our debt in the last few years, it's quadrupled. This thing is 26 feet across by 16 feet by 3 feet. And notice I said debt, not deficit, because they are different. Morning of October 29th. We are now entering the sanctuary of Olympia, which was a religious site visited every 4 years, which coincided with the games. The Olympic Games were popular from 776 BC to 393 AD. So that's about 1,000 years there. And it was a combination of athletic facilities and religious facilities. Up to 40,000 plus people, ordinary folks, just like me, would come here to celebrate it. So this is the gymnasium area, and you can see the Greek workers are ready and dressed for work. The guy with a shovel brought a nice white jacket to the mud dig. This guy, he's getting into it. He's actually the first person we've seen do anything, and I guarantee you that's doing nothing. And this is probably why it's been 2,000 years and it still looks like this. This is the gymnasium here, and as you can see, the workers are coming back. It looked like the work was done there. They were there about 5 minutes. Looks like it was done. So they're checking stuff out. There's the spectators, Greek workers there, and they're drinking, smoking. But according to the sign, this is supposed to be done in 2015, which is just over 2 months from now. I'm going to go out on a limb. I may have a bet with Jason Moore that it won't be. He insists that it will be. A very large sum of money online. You are all who are viewing this will be witnesses that we have a bet. I say that the ruins will not be finished in 2015 as the sign says. Jason Moore says that they will. We are wagering $1,000 on this.
Wow.
So this is the gymnasium, and this was one of the walls. They had these columns in the middle. Gymnasium is 220 meters long by 120 meters. So, and it surrounded a courtyard. So perhaps this was the courtyard over here. It's hard to say. And this would have been one of the kind of building that made up one of the walls, because over there's a lot of other structures which are not clearly 120 meters away, and that was the width. They practiced running, javelin, discus, a few other events in the gymnasium courtyard area. This is the workplace of Fides, I'm not sure how to say it. And this whole place got covered up by silt as a river change course, nearby river. And you can see the seashells embedded in the walls as an example of that. We're looking over the Olympia complex here, the sanctuary as they called it. You'll see Zeus's temple there, and that's Kronos, Kronos hill. Now, some legends have that's where Zeus was born. Allegedly, Zeus's father tried to kill Zeus or eat him, but Zeus, with the help of his mother Rhea, he escaped and they overthrew Kronos. Kronos was the father of Zeus, if you didn't know. And then they made their way ultimately to Mount Olympus. But other legends say that Mount Olympus is where they were born. But they both agree that Mount Olympus is where the gods hung out. This is Temple of Zeus, where the big statue of Zeus, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, would have been kept. That was 40 feet tall. That pillar there, column, Doric column, 34 feet tall, 7 feet thick, and weighs 9 tons. Something I have to carry around myself is very similar to that size, which is why I have constant back pain. This whole temple, 209 feet by 89 feet, about a half an acre, stood 6 stories tall. This was not only the center of this Olympia area, but both physically and symbolically. Zeus was the king of the gods and the patron of the games. This is the stadium where they would compete. This came out of the little tunnel. Approximately 45,000 spectators could watch it. They would sit on the grass. Over here is a marble area where the judges would sit. That signifies that. Nice kind of cool day here in late October. There's Jason, Craig, and here would be the entrance where people would come through, kind of like we see in our sporting venues today. The stadium is 640 feet long, which apparently is equivalent to 600 traditional Olympic feet. An Olympic foot was the footstep of Hercules. This white, I guess probably marble, stone or marble, was the finish line.
Says nothing about
So
that.
apparently Hitler ordered the excavation of this. Now, back in the day, the first event, there was only one event, and that was you ran the length of this, straight. They didn't run around this. So when they did the 200 meter equivalent, they ran starting down at the other end, or starting at this end, they'd run down and back. And then they did the 24 laps, which is the 400 meter, which would be more than 2,400. That's a 5K. So the 5K would be 24 laps. And then that 400 meter they did as well. And then at the end of the day, back in 400 BC, which was like at the peak of the games, 13 events. It lasted 5 days. You see discus, javelin, boxing, wrestling, long jump, pangration, which is like a UFC ultimate fighting, and the pentathlon, which is the 5 events, of course. That's like his horse events as well. So right here is the altar of Hera. Hera was the wife of Zeus, and the games were. He was the big guy back in the day, and Hera being his wife. Now the significance of this little altar area, and there right back there where Jason Craig is standing, is the Temple of Hera. This is where the modern Olympic Games torch is lit. They take mirrors, they light a flame, and I'm not sure what the device looks like, and then we're panning now south. We were just looking west, not east, and that's where the stadium is. And apparently they take the flame over to the stadium, that green area hill, that's where the seating areas of the stadium, and that's where they light the torch, and then the torch ultimately makes its way to where the Olympic venue is of that year. So this is done a few months before the Olympic venue. And then over there at the Temple of Hera, That was the original temple before the Temple of Zeus was born. And though men only competed in these Olympic Games, they did have Olympic equivalent, if you will, on different years, not the Olympic year, for women. And they were virgin women, and they competed in chariot racing and foot races. This is the Philippian. Announced a new era in Greece, the Hellenistic era. Philip of Macedonia, basically. They conquered Greece back in the day. This would have been about 340 BC. Philip was the father of Alexander the Great. And so he came in and built this kind of like, you know, every time someone gets conquered, they got to build a new statue commemorating who was boss at the time.
And he ruins it.
And Jason ruins it in some manner or form. So now that's where the wrestling took place. We started there earlier. And the gymnasium is right up there. So that finishes our tour of the site. Probably the best ancient site we've seen in Greece so far. I'd say better than the Acropolis or any of the things we saw in Athens. So this whole scene was actually on the west pediment of the Temple of Zeus. And there's Apollo in the middle. And battle between centaurs there. I mean, quite amazing. And this guy Apollo, he's probably like 15 feet tall. And this was what was on the east side of the Temple of Zeus. Pretty amazing work there. So we saw the Nymphaeum, which was that big semicircular fountain near the Temple of Hera, which is near where they light the modern-day Olympic torch. Well, on that big fountain, there was this big bowl, and then in the background were all these statues above it. It was quite the fountain, apparently. These are all surviving statues from that. This was all BC stuff, so it's pretty old. So this scene would be the statues of the Lapis and centaurs from the west pediment of the Temple of Zeus. So there's Zeus putting his arm around, presumably, the king. Oh, that's Apollo, Stanley. Excuse me, Apollo putting his arm around the king, and these are centaurs who crashed a wedding party to steal the women. So here's one. That would have been a woman on the left, the centaur stealing her. There would have been another one being stealing a woman. And this would have been on the west. This is a replica of the Olympia Sanctuary. Difficult to get a good handle on it when you look at the ruins because they're largely destroyed. But we entered here, which would have been the north end. That's the gymnasium, which is 220 meters by 120 meters, where they practice. This is the wrestling area. That little area, and that's where they wrestle. That's a palaestra. This little building is the workshop of Pleiades, who made the temple, the Zeus statue. This is like the dormitories with the central swimming pool, the Leonidian. This is where the Roman emperor stayed. Nero, thank you. Oh, he stayed over there. Someone's a little slow on the uptake over there. I'll let you guess who. Temple of Zeus. We just saw the pilastars with the big statues on them. And Zeus would have been in there, we think, on the left side here, which would have been the west side. Here's the Hall of Echoes. There's the stadium. 600 Greek feet, which is Hercules apparently established what a Greek foot was. Alright, this is the view of Kronos. That's Kronos Hill over there. These right here, these things are the treasuries, those buildings. That's where they had monetary, I guess, tributes to the gods. Right here. This little building here is the altar of Hera. That's the Temple of Hera. And right there's the Nymphaeum, which is the big water fountain. And right over here, with this altar area in between, is where they light the modern day Olympic torch. This is the winner's circle, where I would not have ever seen myself, nor would have Jason or Craig. And this, yeah, exactly. And here's the statue of Nike or Nike is how they apparently say it here in Greece. And then this round thing here is the Philippian, and this was built by Philip. That's Alexander the Great's dad, who conquered Greece back in the day. Back up, and there's the statue of the Nike, which was on that pedestal by the Winter Circle on the east side of Zeus's temple. We're crossing over the Aegean Sea here from the Peloponnese. Pelop, P-E-L-O-P, that is the ruler or a king of this area. He'll unite this area over this fancy, brand new looking bridge over to we call the Greek mainland. We're driving here. You really can't see much that way. That way, I'll take it out. So we're on our way to Meteora. That's the bridge we just took. A nice hefty $20 toll, which would have been about a fourth of that to a third of that in the States. That's the Peloponnese over there. Sun's finally out. Nice, comfortable, probably low 60s day. Just gorgeous, nice calm seas here in the Aegean. So here we are in Greece. We're at a roadside vista location with the ocean to our back. And this is what you discover at the edge of the foliage and the road. So for all the leftists who think that Europe is so much more environmentally conscious than America, if any of you ever traveled to Europe, you would see what I have seen dozens of times, which is they're not. They throw garbage on the ground like we throw fertilizer on the ground. It is everywhere. We are on our way to Meteora. We're on the western side of the mainland of Greece. This is a nice little bay in from the Aegean Sea. Little fishing boat here. Just stopped here just to get our legs, stretch our legs. It is Wednesday afternoon, about 3 in the afternoon. Just a nice little seaside town. See places kind of like this. Right, Dick. Kind of places like this in Turkey. So it's similar to what we saw in the Black Sea. All right, here we are. It's about coming up on 5 o'clock. Sunset around 6-ish, 6:30. So, I mean, you can see this Aegean Sea here. It's real pretty. I don't know if these are like little shrimp thingies. Just real gorgeous. I mean, this is what do you think of when you think of Greece? You don't really think of this when you think of Greece. Dirty diapers, bottles, cans, you name it, garbage everywhere. This is the Great Monastery. It is Thursday, October 30th, 9 in the morning. This is what they call Meteora. That's the Great Monastery. There's St. Stephen's. That's Rousseau, which is a nunnery. Very mountainous, but it's this big valley down there. You can see it through the rocks, and then all of a sudden these rocks just boom, pop up. So it's almost different than your normal mountain range, but you can see some big peaks in the distance, some snow-covered peaks beyond this hill. Hiking up the 300 steps to the large monastery at Meteora. Nice Thursday morning. So we're at the Great Monastery. This little fella, obviously thrilled to be here. Killing time. That's the church there. You're not allowed to take any photos inside. Quite an interesting Byzantine church. All the walls are painted. I mean, it's 100% painted. Quite interesting. It's a little courtyard here. So we're on top of this mountain. The monks live here. Beautiful. I don't know how they built it way up here. Put in quite the effort back in the day. Okay, so we're looking here. It's still at the Great Monastery. We'll be here about another 6 hours because Jason's reading everything. Thinks he speaks Greek now. That's looking mostly south, a little bit west. There's a valley we came in. We stayed in just around the corner there last night. Came over these. Look at these nice snow-capped mountains. Drove over those last night, unfortunately, in the fog and rain. And this is the rest of the monasteries are in that direction. Not very far. They're all within a mile or two of each other. So you get an idea of how close some of these monasteries are. That's, you know, a quarter of a mile as the crow flies just across this ravine. And you can see they're built right on the edge. Certainly it would be hard to attack these if you wanted to. This is an old kitchen. You might not be able to make it out, but the walls and ceilings are blackened with soot. This is in the still in the Great Monastery. See here, looking west, this monastery. It's rather big and just goes on, and then there's a big cliff, and that's where we came from yesterday. So Meteora here. Now that actually is not St. Stephen. That's Varlam. The Great Monastery is behind this one, which I think is, it's not Rosano. I think that's Saint Triada, Triada. Rosano is this little guy. Oh, wrong one. Right there. That's the nunnery. And then St. Nicholas is below that. And since St. Stefano, as we pan south, that, the sun is St. Stefano. And this is a really cool little valley. Gorgeous day, sunny. So this is the St. Triada Monastery. This is the one that was in For Your Eyes Only, James Bond, 1981. And then we pan over. That's Varlam right there, that big one. Got some of them mixed up. And that's the Great Monastery up above it. And then there's St. Stephen down to our left. And there's Rousseau and one more. This is St. Stephen Monastery. This one is the furthest east. Known to be the best of them, the most ethical, the most pure, most religious, most honest. It's known to be that. Here's a little mini vineyard. This nice little lush valley kind of looking east here, maybe a little south. Just gorgeous here. That is Rousseau, the nunnery. Nunnery. St. Nicholas, right there, that little guy. Now look at this one. Both Rousseau and Nicholas, it's hard to see, is right built. I mean, there's like no extra space. And that's Varlam. And then there's the one we just went to, the big boy, the tallest. And this valley, gorgeous day here, October 30th.
It is a beautiful day.
I mean, it's sunny, not too hot, not too cold, very comfortable. You can see a bunch of people up there. That's where we just were as well, that vista. There's Varlam. We did a little off-roading to get to this vantage point. Have it all to ourselves despite the multiple tour buses. Doing a little construction there on the south side.
This tower looks brand new.
Yeah, it does. And there's CP, Jay Moore. How rugged. So our goal, we got to traverse this by foot and to get to the hotel by tonight on the other side of those mountains. We should be able to do it. We've got several hours. We're up to the challenge. There's the Fat Impala traversing the mountain. He almost made it and then fell off the edge of the Rousseau, which isn't very high from the road, but it's like just straight down. It's a tiny like little house right on a little needle. Now look at this guy. He's jackhammering about 2 feet. And the edge just kicks the dirt over the side. Wonder what OSHA would think of that. There'd be all kinds of rules and regulations. I don't think he's tied in. That's the power cord for the jackhammer, the hydraulics.
He needs the government. No, look, he's got to tie up to him.
Yeah, he does. He needs the government, though, to help him somehow.
Right.
Okay, the Fat Gazelle's trying to get back. Jason came down here, jumped, and about fell into the wall. I went this way. So, Fat Gazelle, you got to climb down with your stomach towards the rock.
Yeah, I know.
And then when you get down, you just rotate.
I can't feel a good foothold, that's all.
Can't feel a good foothold. Well, just pretend there are donuts in there. We're only getting a silhouette of them.
You got it. He has plenty of footholds.
Well, we might have our first major accident of the trip. Let's get this on tape. Can you still sell these tapes?
Just keep filming.
When animals attack and stuff like that, can you still do that? Can we still make money? Maybe it might pay for our trip. Yeah, why don't you just fall?
You just turn around and jump. You're fine.
No, get down a little lower, dude. You're used to getting low on things.
You're fine.
Get on your knees. You're used to that. There you go. Bring your right arm down. There's a knot. Right, hold right to your right hand. Here you go. All right, watch this. Watch this. Dun, 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 dun. Oh yeah, trepidation. Can you do it? Dun, 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 dun.
Just do it.
Do
I'm
it.
scared.
All right,
Do it.
We'll see you
I'm
later.
scared. I'm scared.
All right, he's got the car. He's got the car
Ready?
keys.
1, 2. Ha!
Oh look, now he acts like he's a freaking mountain goat. I'm calling you the fat mountain goat now. So this is where we just were. Varl, this fellow followed us up there. Now we're walking back to the car, but it's a really good view. I mean, look at that. You're just up there by yourself. Boom. You got Varl off to
This
the right.
is
Thessalonica. I'm mispronouncing that. The Greeks say it a little differently. The waterfront, big port, particularly access to the Balkans, and down here on the east end is called the White Tower. Also, back in the day, they called it the Lion's Tower or the Fortress of Calamaria. I'm going to pronounce that Calamari, just because it's easier. And that thing was part of an old Ottoman defensive fort. Apparently, allegedly became white because in 1890 a Jewish prisoner was given the opportunity to whitewash it for his freedom. He took him up on it. I would too. There's Aegean, baby. Yeah, baby. This is Thessaloniki coming down 5 o'clock. Sunset in Thessaloniki. This is a nice little town. We're in this the White Tower, the Lion Tower, whatever you want to call it. And there's the town there. Second largest city in Greece. There's the old, probably the old castle up there. It is the end of October, October 31st, almost 10 a.m. We are at Delphi, not pronounced Delphi. This is a famous oracle or priestess here who would prophesize. People would come, ask her, hey, am I going to win this battle? Stuff like that, and she would say yes or no, and that would guide people. In this area right here is a sacred way. The sacred way is where cities who had favorable oracles would reward the oracle with statues, gifts. So there's like a big bull here called the bull of the Corcyraeans. There's a replica of the Trojan horse. The Mycenaeans would have given that. Agamemnon. There's the king and queens of Argos. They had Perseus, Danae, and Hercules was an Argo as well. They would have been all here. Basically, hey, should we go to war? We go to war, we win. We send the oracle a big gift because she told us to go to war and we won. Stuff like that. Very mountainous here. On the top, you can actually see the sea to the south, which is that way where Craig is walking. There's Jason. There's some other sites to these. This is very interesting. The topography, very mountainous, but the trees are different. A lot of the places it's scrub brush, but in this area a lot of evergreens that you would see maybe in the western part of the United States. This is where the statues, 10 statues of the kings and queens of Argos. So Hercules, Diana, Jason, Perseus. Yes. Let's see. Omphalos, another word for belly button. So apparently Zeus released 2 eagles from the each end of the world, and they crossed as they were flying over Delphi, and this stone fell out of the sky and thus marked the center of the earth. Now there were multiple ones apparently at this place, so I'm not sure exactly where the official one was. This is the Temple of Apollo there in the distance. This is the altar right here. They make sacrifices. The temple was just beyond it. This large base here was the tripod of Palladians, which is kind of large, 3 serpents. Pretty tall, 7.5 meters tall. And then this was a base where they had a big statue with a chariot. The patron of the island of Rhodes dedicated this in the late 4th century BC. We're actually nearing the top of Delphi already. It's not actually that big. Craig hears that a lot, as you can imagine. Poor guy. But don't hate him for it. Still one of God's creatures, and we love him nonetheless. Temple of Apollo. Look at this view here. I mean, you're like up in the mountains. Quite a view. Temple of Apollo, the third one was finished in 330 BC. The third time. That was during Philip, Alexander the Great's dad, and Alexander the Great, it was dedicated during his time. So over here is the altar. You come up, you sacrifice something here. The cheapest thing you could give was bread, but most people gave goats. And then during the Pythian Games, every 4 years, you gave 100 bulls were sacrificed, which was done in Olympic. You enter, you meet the priests. You also donate another thing over a flame. Statue of Apollo would be in here somewhere. And then you come in the back room. Over kind of a crack in the ground was the priestess and a tripod kind of being suspended. And the priest would give her your question. She would mutter something, the priest would interpret it, and then they sent you out. During its heyday, it was so popular, they had priestesses working in shifts. And you can see how mountainous this is quite amazing. And just to the north of here are ski resorts. This is the stadium, about 178 meters long. Start was down there, right there.
Marked with the stone slabs.
Right here in the midways where the judges, important folks would sit. And then
17 or 18 runners in one.
you'd run. And then the finish line was made of stone. I would hope it would be flush with the ground to avoid the obvious obstacle. But you could see where Olympia would have a huge advantage because right here's the mountain. There's no room to expand this puppy. It's just one straight thing. Seating would be tough. This is the Sphinx of Naxos, 570 to 560 BC. Sphinxes were Egyptian, but Oedipus had a riddle posed to him at the gates of Thebes. What walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs at noon, and 3 legs in the evening. Apparently that's man. Infant you crawl, as a man you walk, and as an old man you walk with a cane. And this is the frieze of the Symphonian treasury. Sorry for the movement, but this was on the top of the treasury. And all these things were quite amazing. I mean, just you can just imagine back in the day, and this would have been white because it would have had marble on it. It would have been really bright and beautiful. This is what you would have seen at the top of the east pediment of the Apollo temple. There's 4 horses which pulled a chariot. On the right, it's kind of, you can sign to see that. It's a lion killing a fat impala, Craig's nickname, that we came up with this trip. And there's another one, you can see the lion attacking the animal. So there's the gymnasium, that's where they would have practiced on the various events. So you can see the GNC right down there. And we have the gymnasium, practice facilities down here, and there's Delphi, which is not very big up there. There's Zeus's, excuse me, Apollo, I apologize. Apollo's ruins. There's a theater right behind it. This is the Tholos, built in the early 4th century BC. Not quite sure what it was for. This round circular thing apparently is the most widely photographed, I guess, object here in Delphi, and which you can see. And the reason this is a good vantage point is there's Delphi in the background, up slightly to the west.
Okay.
This is the sanctuary of Athena, built in around 380 BC. Or just down there. That's really what's left. Called the Tholos, T-H-O-L-O-S. Not sure what it was for. I think it was to worship Athena. This place also had an association with Gaia, G-A-I-A, or Gaia, who was the mother of Earth, basically. And these buildings aside were some treasuries. And you get an idea, look how rugged this is. And that would have been the old road. Look at that, climbing up the mountain. Just crazy. We're less than 100 miles from Athens, but it'll take us 2+ hours solely because of the road. This is Santorini. This is what they call the caldera, some volcano out there. Nice little cove, look at that. End of the tourist season, November 1st, about 10 a.m. You can tell why, it's cloudy. It's actually cold, colder than it was in Thessaloniki. And it's just pretty cliffy. And these white homes, not many blue roofs, you see a few now and then. But You know, the postcards make it seem like there are a million of these blue roofs, but in their reality they're just speckled throughout. Hiking along the coast of Santorini, as you can see, towards that city, got a little Greek Orthodox church here. This is a little peninsula that juts out from the Santorini mainland towards these islands. There. You can see now that's the south. That's where we're staying up in there part. Very windy. We're gonna go climb that little knoll. Right there, Craig's coming up. That's a tip. A little game I like to play called Just a Tip. Just see how it feels. This, on top of this little knoll here, and you can see Santorini in the background. We're on the west edge, this little town. Now look at this. I had to jump across this, which is a good, taller than me, so that's about 7 feet, I'm guessing, give or take. It was close, but I made it. 'Cause I'm an American. We don't let anything stand in between us, except for people who are born in Kenya who would become our president. There's CP, just climbed that. Like a ladder. Look at this guy. Yeah, baby. Now he's got to jump over this massive void. Make sure that camera's secured and zipped in. Right here. Yeah, don't leave in that pocket. Here we go, Santorini in the background. This is our own version of the Olympic Games. Okay, here. That's the shortest distance. You're used to short things. Oh, look at that. Look at the gazelle. Woo! Dun, 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 dun. Look at this guy, gold medal. We started just over there. We climbed on top of that little knoll right there. We started on just south of there. Looking going west. Now scanning north. And this is our destination, La La, or in Greek, Oia. We're almost there. Sun's coming out today, a gorgeous day, November 1st. So we've made it to the little town of La, or O-I-U, I think in Greek. And there's this little town. We're on the southern tip. And they all look pretty much similar. Not the blue house, you know, again, there's only one with the blue roof. So I think a white roof makes more sense given the heat. Sun's finally come out. Really a gorgeous day now, very comfortable. Really good short weather. Craig didn't wear shorts, not sure why. Well, not sure the elevator goes to the top floor all the time in the Payette house. So we're at the very northern tip of Santorini, and that's La, or O-I-U, where Craig and I hiked to. Jason drove because he doesn't have the strength to walk. He's a weak. There. There's our. And then that's looking kind of west, southwest. This is it. It's partly, mostly cloudy day here. This side's very hilly, but the other side's flat. And where the beaches are on the east side. The west side is the kind of the cliff up there.
It'll be a long walk up there.
Nice little Greek flag. I wish that building had a blue top. An old like windmill looking thing. It is windy here, so that makes sense. Unlike the hundreds of windmills in America that do not generate enough electricity to justify their cost. Well, that's a different issue. This is the Aegean Sea, baby. Yeah, baby. We're looking east predominantly. Water's very warm. Took a dip earlier. Not sure you see a pretty big ship. There's an island in the distance behind it. Unfortunately, that one is. The other side of the island is a little cliffy. This side is more flat. And where the beaches are, it's cold, so no one's on the beach today sunbathing. So you see where we are? Jason Moore is our navigator, and the goal was to get to the top of that mountain. So he's in the front seat with the Garmin. And this is where he navigated us to with the Garmin, right here. Not only are we not on the top of the mountain you saw, we're in, this is it. I don't know where the hell we are. We had one shot at navigating, and both Craig and I predicted exactly what would happen. Good job, Jason. So Jason, how did we end up here?
By Stevens Port Navigation.
By Port Navigation. You have the navigator though, and you're in the navigation spot. So how would I be in charge?
You set the destination.
No, I did not. You did. Boy, somebody who's so ethical there. You just multiple lies. Shocker. Well, that's what you get. A lot of these religious folks are hypocrites. Case in point, right there's one. Let's zoom in on the hypocrite. 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 Let's see that. Let's see that a little closer.
Did you not set the navigation?
No, you. I asked you which one you chose, and you said that one, and I pushed the button.
So you did?
No, because you told me to push it. I pushed the button you instructed me to push. If you would have instructed me to push a different button, I would have pushed that button. So.
He's frantically trying to recalculate
Yeah.
the route.
Well, we're in the old walls of the caldera. This is an old volcano, and it's a big circle. You can see the circle there. That's Fiore, the main town up there. It goes around and around and around. Quite windy. There's Santorini. That's the west, or excuse me, east, the airport there. Moving, that's the north. Our hotel is in that area. That's Fiera, right there, the big city. Then we walk from there all the way around to the tip. Right over there. You can see the terraces, the old terraces. Look at that. Right there for growing stuff. This is it, baby. Big island in the back. A lot of islands around here. There's one in the distance. A lot of islands everywhere. So we're at the monastery here at the top, and this is the southern tip of the caldera. Look at that. Just real cool. And we're about an hour and a half roughly from sunset. And we'll set there in the southwest side.
Where the piece is disturbed by someone's music.
Yes. And right there. And then, now, if you keep going south from here, you'll run into Crete. Crete, which was the last major paratrooper offensive by the Germans in World War II. They lost so many paratroopers, they didn't really use them in a paratroop role. After that, more in the infantry role. And then there's the water inside the caldera. Here is Craig and Jason, and this is the little monastery there. There, yeah. Craig's got the classic Vertex balding. And I've got the receding hair. I know Jason's got a little bit too. Look at that. Yep. Hey, that's getting old. High testosterone count, guys. Here's sunset, November 1st. About 5:30 in the evening. A little too cloudy for a good sunset today. But you have to have some clouds there too. Sunset's supposed to be at 5:30, so usually you'll get peak 10 to 15 minutes after that, and we're 4 minutes after now.
Back on my Wi-Fi. You can feel it kicking in.
We'll see if it gets any better. All right, this sunset not getting much better. We're pushing quarter till now, about 15 minutes after official sunset. But we can see the caldera. There's one side of it. It's a huge circle. I mean, this thing is miles and miles across. There's a little protest going on in the distance in the town square. I'm not sure what that is. It has to do with the protest, but we'll make our way over there just to check it out. I'm always interested in a good protest, particularly if it involves protesting the great Muslim Kenyan who's sitting in the White House.
I think they're protesting his existence.
No.
my existence? Yes.
So it's after season. A lot of these places are closed. Actually, today is like the official end of the season. October 31st or yesterday, November 1st today. Not many people. It's chilly tonight, not as windy. And there we go. Santorini and Greece no more after this time tomorrow. Not sure why the fireworks are going off. Maybe it's because it's November 1st. In any case, it's nice little fireworks to celebrate the end of the season, perhaps. One can speculate. And goodbye, Greece.